We're making the most healthy and delicious banana chocolate pudding-filled crepes with a chocolate drizzle. First, we're making a sweet potato and cottage cheese pudding that is rich and creamy, naturally sweetened, and higher in protein. Then we're making a super simple chocolate drizzle with your favorite chocolate chips that meet your dietary needs. Then we're filling our crepe with our chocolate pudding and freshly sliced bananas, rolling it up, adding a dollop of whipped cream, a few more bananas, and drizzling our chocolate sauce. If you love healthier recipes made with all natural ingredients like I do, then you are in the right place. We're going to begin by prepping our sweet potato, and I find it works best by using these darker orange or purple sweet potatoes. We need it to be cooked and softened before we can use it in our pudding. I found the easiest way is to peel it and then dice it. And then I put them in my steamer basket, which goes into my pot. I fill it to the bottom of the basket with water, and then I put the lid on it, and then I bring it to a simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the sweet potatoes are fork tender. Then we take it off the stove, drain off the water, and allow it to cool. To mix our pudding, you can use either a high-speed upright blender or use a food processor like I am. First, we're going to add 2 cups of our cooked sweet potatoes. Then we're going to add 1.5 cups of our cottage cheese. And what I love about this pudding is that once it's all blended together, that curdled texture is completely removed. And we get all the nutritional benefits and protein of the cottage cheese. Then we'll add 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 1/3 cup of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar for a little flavor, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to put on our lid and just blend this on high until it is smooth and creamy. And then if needed, you can mix it halfway just to clean off the edges. Well, that looks fantastic, and there is no sign of curdled cottage cheese texture. And now is an excellent time to go in for a taste test. This allows you to adjust the sweetness level by either adding in a little bit more maple syrup, or you can also add about 1/2 cup of some powdered cane sugar. I always try to go with the least amount of sweetener I can while still having a very satisfying sweet taste. To make these oat flour crepes, we're going to start with our oat flour, and you can either use store-bought oat flour or you can grind your own. I'm going to use my NutriBullet, but you could use any upright blender or food processor. I've just filled my blender cup with some old-fashioned oats up to the max fill line, and I found that with this blender cup, if I fill it to the max fill line, then it has enough weight from the oats that it blends easily. This recipe only needs 1 cup of oat flour, but I'll be able to put the extra to use. So I'm just going to screw on my lid, and then I'll push it down on the base and just let it go until I have a fine flour. So within about 10 seconds, we instantly have some oat flour. I'm going to measure out 1 cup of oat flour, and then I can store the extra to use in other recipes. To make the crepe batter, I'm going to use my same cup, and since we'll be turning this upside down, I found that it works best if we put our wet ingredients in first and then the dry on top, so that when it's upside down, our wet ingredients are on top. I'm starting with 1 cup of milk, and I'm using almond milk, but you can use any kind that you like. And then I'm adding 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of oil, and light olive oil is my favorite, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. Then I'll add in 1 cup of our oat flour, and then screw on the base, and then I'll press the cup down on the base just until the ingredients are blended. And now we have a very delicious and lightly sweetened crepe batter. And then I'm going to screw on my lid. It has this really convenient little spout that will make it very easy for pouring the batter into our measuring cup. To make our crepes, I'm using a 10-inch nonstick fry pan, and you'll want to bring it just under a medium heat. And then we want to butter our pan, and I found the easiest way to do that is to just take a cold stick of butter and then just run it over the pan. And then I'll pour 1/4 cup of batter, and then I'm going to pour it into my pan, and then immediately start to move the batter around so that it fills the surface of the pan. And then we're just going to let it cook for about a minute until our edges are starting to turn a really light toasted brown. And as soon as I start to see some steam coming up, I'm going to take my spatula and run it around to just loosen up the edge. And then with a larger flat spatula, I'm going to go ahead and just lift up the corner and see that it's already starting to toast. I found the easiest way to flip the crepe is to go ahead and scoop my spatula up underneath it And I can even take my fingers and carefully help lift. And as soon as my spatula is in the center of it, I'll just lift up and flip over. And then we have this beautifully lightly toasted crepe. Now usually the first crepe is not the prettiest, so we consider this our practice crepe. But I have to say, this actually looks pretty good for being our first crepe. And then we'll let this cook for about 20 to 30 seconds or until the bottom starts to get just that really light golden toast to it. Now that I can tell the bottom is lightly toasted, I'm going to take a plate with a paper towel and then just lift the crepe up and onto my plate. And then we'll just let this hang out and cool while we cook the rest of our crepes. To make our simple chocolate drizzle, we're going to start with 1/4 cup of your favorite chocolate chips, and you can use dairy-free or sugar-free or whatever meets your preference. Then we're going to add a teaspoon of coconut oil, and then we're going to microwave this in 30-second intervals, stirring it in between until it is smooth and creamy. So after 2 rounds of 30 seconds, our chocolate is nice and melted. So I'm just going to stir it really well just to break down those last little chunks. And then we'll add 1/4 cup of milk, and you can use any kind that you like. And then we'll just mix those together till they're nice and smooth, and we have this perfect pourable consistency. Now that we have our crepes and our banana and our chocolate pudding and our chocolate drizzle and some whipped cream, we are ready to assemble our crepes. So I'm going to start by laying one right in the middle of my plate. And then I'm going to put some of this delicious chocolate pudding right down the middle. And then we'll open up our ripe banana and make some thin slices. And then I'll fan them right down the middle. And you can use as many bananas as you like. Then we'll roll it up and add some whipped cream on top and a few more of our bananas just for aesthetic and flavor. And then we can drizzle on our chocolate sauce. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then because sprinkles make everything just a little bit more special, I'm going to sprinkle just a few chocolate ones right here on top. Make sure we get a bite with all of our layers. That is delicious. That was kind of a big bite. I love the fluffy texture of the crepe wrapped around that chocolate pudding, which I would never guess has sweet potato and cottage cheese in it. And then the bananas are fresh and smooth. And then I love getting the whipped cream with those sprinkles. And then that chocolate drizzle just adds the perfect amount of additional sweetness. And I love that this is made with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm going to feel just as good even after I eat it. And I love sharing my creatively healthy recipes so that you can enjoy them too. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen, and I've included a link to the full recipe, and it's in the video description below, and it takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.